everyone, and welcome back to Animation Pilgrimage. I'm Sean.
And I'm Tennille.
And we watch every single theatrically released animated film in order. Today, we are bringing you The Snow Queen.
From 1957.
57, okay, I was thinking 56, but yes.
57, the USSR.
Yes. It is a Hans Christian Andersen adaptation.
Yep.
And, I mean, this is not the first of those, and it's also, or is it?
Won't be the last. Well, no question mark? I'm not terribly sure, actually, but it definitely won't be the last.
Oh, yeah, definitely not. No. So this one, I just want to say up front, was actually a bit longer than any of the other Russian films we've seen so far.
I think we've had one
that was longer, and that was the full-blown musical.
So was that The Snow Maiden?
Yeah.
Yeah?
The Snow
Okay.
Maiden was like an hour and 10 minutes long,
Yeah.
give or take.
And this was an hour.
Yeah, this was almost exactly 1 hour long.
Yeah. But that being said, this was well paced.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the story. I actually went back and I didn't read The Snow Queen, like the story itself, but I did read a summary of The Snow Queen
Spark
just to see like how similar it was to the original source, and it's pretty similar. I'll get into some of the differences.
It feels that way.
Later. And yeah, this is another beautifully animated Russian film.
Oh, yeah.
I think this is now definitely my favorite of the Russian films.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I would agree hands down, because it's like the last two we really liked, but we're differing on, but I think this is like the best median of those two films. Mm-hmm. Like, the animation is still got like a good level of cartooniness in it, but it's still fairly realistic, and like, so everyone has distinct character designs.
Well, and I think since they're doing such a straight adaptation of a Hans Christian Andersen story, like the story's pretty solid. Mm-hmm. When it's adaptations of other fairy tales, fairy tale logic kind of gets muddled in a movie.
And are a little confused.
Yeah, it doesn't work as well in a film. But for a Hans Christian Andersen story, there's still problems here.
Yeah,
like,
there's still things just like people do things and it's not really explained why.
Yeah, there's zero character motivation really. Well, except for like the main character. You get her motivation.
Mm-hmm. And then she throws her shoes in the river. And that was a little weird, but okay.
Yeah, but
it was still charming.
Yeah,
Charming as hell.
The story worked. You know, if I personally would do a modern adaptation of this story, I would definitely make some changes, but
yeah, most definitely.
But I think there's a lot more stuff that you can keep as opposed to throw out.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, really solid. Do you want to kind of talk about the story summary?
Yes, I can go over story summary.
Go over the plot.
The plot for The Snow Queen.
Yes, go over the plot, and then when you're done with that, I will talk about what it changes from the book.
Okay.
Or the old fairy tale. So
we have a little gnome man who's actually telling the story to us, and his name is Ole something.
Joyevek or something like that. I don't remember the last part.
He's your stand-in for any tiny storyteller in these kinds of stories, such as, I don't know,
he makes me think of Jiminy Cricket.
Jiminy Cricket, that's who I was trying to think of.
He has umbrellas too, so
he has
automatically
two umbrellas, and his feet are exactly the same as his.
Yeah.
Like, you could tell that they drew inspiration from Disney doing this, not once, but twice.
Yeah.
But that's fine. He's also just like, reminds me of the little gnome guy from the Enchanted Boy, which we watched just a little bit ago.
Yeah.
I'm sure this is like in a very similar strain of characters.
Creature, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
But either way, he's telling the story to us, but it's the actual story itself is about two kids.
Well, and the important thing is that he's saying that he told these stories to Hans Christian Andersen, who then wrote them.
Yes. Yeah, he helped inspire Hans Christian Andersen himself.
Yes.
But either way, the story of the Snow Queen is, it starts with two kids, a girl named Gerda and a boy named Kai. Mm-hmm. And they live in opposing houses, but they have like this bridge between their windows where they go out and they plant flowers and they're good friends and stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's all good. And then...
sweet children.
Sweet children. And then one winter they're told a story of the Snow Queen who lives in a far-off castle, and she's not really evil, but she's definitely not good. She's just kind of...
She's cold.
She's cold. Cold as ice.
Cold as ice.
And then Kai makes some joke about throwing her on a fire if she ever got close to them. And the queen happened to be watching them with her magic mirror at the time, so she's like, all right.
Curse them.
Curse this boy in particular.
Yeah.
So she put a shard of ice in his eye and his heart. His eye made him distrustful of thinking anyone else could ever do anything good, and his heart to make him a mean-spirited person.
Well, yeah, continue.
Something to that extent.
Yeah, I'll explain more of the shard of ice thing later.
Okay. But either way, this makes him standoffish and mean to Gerda, and later that same winter, the Snow Queen comes and picks him up and takes him off to her castle to become cold as ice himself, so that he never has to suffer again, but he'll never know joy. He will always be content. Or
he will find contentment.
He will find contentment in nothingness.
Yeah. So anyway, Gerda goes on. By the time spring comes around, the town assumes that Kai is just gone.
He's just gone. But Gerda's like, no, I must find my best friend, who may also be my, like...
They're children.
They're children, but also...
So they love each other like siblings, but they're not siblings, so...
Yeah, it's a little weird.
I mean, it's puppy love, I guess.
So she goes on a grand adventure to find
America
him.
doesn't have a very good, like, grasp of what to call that kind of love.
Mm-hmm. It's true. We have one word for love, which is not good. We need more words.
Yeah.
Either way, so she goes off on a grand adventure, first going down the river in a boat, and then she finds an old lady who wants to keep her forever, so she makes her sleep. And then she gets out of there, and then...
Then she runs into the crow.
A raven.
It's a crow.
It's a crow? But it's so large, I would think it'd be a raven.
Well, in the book synopsis, it was a crow.
Okay. A large black bird.
Yes.
Who takes her to a castle where Kai supposedly is. He's a blonde boy that's been taken in by the princess of this castle. So she sneaks in, and it turns out, nope, it wasn't actually Kai at all. It was just this random guy. But the princess and this to-be prince are totally... They're like, oh, it's so sweet that you're going to find him. So here, let us help you and give you a chariot. Or like a...
Yeah, they give her warm clothes, like nice new warm clothes, and then they give her a carriage. And like two people to like drive the carriage for her.
And off she goes to try to find Kai, because she doesn't know where he went. So she's just literally wandering around.
Yeah.
Trying to find him. And then they get attacked by a bunch of bandit robbers, and so they ransack the carriage, and she gets captured, and the... I would say princess, daughter of the leader of the thieves.
They don't ever say who she's blood related to or not. She's just related to one of them.
Okay, but like one of the girls, she's got like a collection of like animals that she keeps as pets, just like random wild animals, like a fox and a reindeer and some rabbits and pigeons and stuff. And she's like, you're going to be my new pet, princess, and the because she looks like a princess.
All dressed up.
And Ger's like, I'm not a princess. And then she tells her the story, and the girl's like, boo, you're too, like, emotional and stuff. Get out of here. Go on. And she sets everyone free, and then she cries because she got emotional.
Right.
Because
it's such a strong, powerful story.
Because she's a badass, and then she can't deal with
girl.
it.
I love her, honestly.
Yeah, she can't deal with all this emotional crap. You need to get out of here before you see her cry. Mm-hmm. So she goes off on the back of the reindeer, and they talk to an old woman who's like, you need to go to this other place.
To this other old woman.
To this other old woman, even farther, because she knows where the Snow Queen lives. And so she's riding through blizzards on the back of this reindeer. And eventually, they make it to the Snow Queen's castle.
Boy, but she gets to the other old lady's house, and the other old lady is like, I don't need to help you because you have the power of essentially true love on your side, so you can do it.
You got the most powerful thing inside you.
True love.
True love. So she goes riding off in the storm, except this time she forgets her coat and everything. So she's kind of an idiot in that way. Mm-hmm. But she makes it to the castle, and by this time, Kai is completely devoid of all emotion. But she... Shoot, I'm trying to remember what she does. Does she hug him, or like...
She, like, hugs him and is crying, and...
Mm-hmm. But either way...
It warms his heart.
Yeah, she warms his heart, and it gets rid of the ice shard that was in his heart and his eye. And he returns to normal, and then they, like, dance around, and the Snow Queen comes out, and she's like, but Gerda's like, no, he's not yours anymore. I'm taking him. There's nothing you can do. Get out of here. Shoo. And the Snow Queen just kind of lets this happen, and they leave. And then they ride all the way back across all the different areas and meet all the characters, and they're like, good luck and have a good life and stuff, and they make it back, and it's happily ever after.
Yeah.
Simple story, but really enjoyable.
Well, and it has a lot of beats.
Oh, yeah. It has a lot of beats, probably which could have been cut down and fine-tuned a bit if we were
wanted to make this a movie. Yeah. Like, that's my biggest thing, is like, to make this a movie, a lot of that filler stuff in the middle is just like, okay, this works for a book.
It works for a book, and or if you're making this into, like, I don't know, a television show or something. It's very episodic. And they're all very enjoyable episodes. It's just the cohesion is not amazing.
It doesn't flow well for a movie length.
Yes.
So anyway, differences in the book. For starters, the whole opening is different. It actually, in the original story, talks about the origin of the mirror.
Oh, okay.
That the Snow Queen has. And the Snow Queen doesn't actually own the mirror.
What? Okay.
So
what? I'm confused.
A devil made the mirror.
Oh, of course. We have to get the devil involved.
Well, I mean, it's a fairy tale. So the devil made the mirror, and the mirror is supposed to show the ugliness of the world. Like, no matter what you reflect in it, even if it's like the most beautiful landscape, it'll look awful looking at it through the mirror.
Oh, okay.
And so all these devils and demons have all this fun, like, doing this, like, all over the place, and then they're like, oh, we should take it up to heaven to look at the angels and God and get a good laugh out of that. So they fly up, but they're all laughing so hard at what a brilliant plan that they have, that they drop the mirror, and the mirror lands on Earth and shatters into many, many pieces and gets into the eyes of humans and in the hearts of humans.
Okay.
And so
those people only see the ugly side of the world.
Right. So the shards of mirror is covering their eye so that they can only see the ugliness of the world.
Okay. How does that play into the Snow Queen herself?
Yeah, I know. So so then Kai gets one of these things in his eye right after he makes fun of the Snow Queen. Mm-hmm. Or he says, like, that he's gonna stop her or whatever. And most of that all plays out the same. The Snow Queen does not affect this at all.
Oh.
But for whatever reason, she's still waiting in the town.
She's still there
in winter,
and takes him away.
So she has zero motivation.
Honestly, it almost sounds like she's doing it as a service to him. It's her way of help. Like, the way you're explaining it, I might be completely wrong here, but it sounds like she's trying to help him not be so negative by being neutral for the rest of his life. Like, he'll never be happy, but he'll never be evil either.
Maybe. I don't know. I think I would have to actually read this story.
I don't know.
That might be digging a little too deep.
Yeah, I might be digging too deep, but just the way you described it there, that's kind of sounds like it. Because, again, she's not evil by any means, but she's not good. She's just a neutral character in this whole situation.
Right. The book describes that she kisses him twice. She kisses him once to make sure that he doesn't feel the cold anymore, so he doesn't freeze to death. Mm-hmm. And then she kisses him a second time to make him forget everything about Gerda.
Okay.
So that he is more easily a prisoner. And it even says that if she would kiss him a third time, he would die.
Oh.
So that makes her a little bit more evil.
Yeah, probably.
So then most of the rest of the story seems pretty similar from what I remember. I don't think I'm leaving out any details. But then by the time that she gets to the Snow Queen's gone. She doesn't come back.
Really?
Yeah, there's no final confrontation with her.
Okay.
Kai is just sitting on this lake, and the queen has told him that in order for him to leave, he has to spell out the word eternity with these little ice trinkets.
Okay.
Yeah. And he hasn't been able to do it this whole time. I don't know why, but maybe he's just stupid. Maybe there's magic. I don't know. But anyway, Gerda comes to him. She hugs him, cries on him. That warms his heart. It makes it so he cries, and crying is the cure to removing the shard of glass. So if you cry, you remove the shard of glass. So Kai cries, he removes the shard of glass, and so then they dance on the lake. And when they finish dancing on the frozen lake, they've magically spelt the word eternity. Because they were moving their feet around, and so it moved the pieces into the spots. And then, yeah, the Snow Queen never comes back, but Gerda's like, well, you did what she wanted you to do, so technically you're free to go. And he's like, you know what, you're right. And so they go home, and that's the end. I don't know why this is called the Snow Queen.
The Snow Queen. Snow Queen not appearing. Snow Queen sold separately.
I mean, like I said, I didn't
it's more interesting than, like, the tale of Kai and Gerda.
Yeah, it has a better ring to it when you call it the Snow Queen.
Ooh. So frosty. So, yeah, other than those differences, it seems like it's a fairly good adaptation.
Well, yeah, and I think it's smart of them to make it so that the Snow Queen has more agency in the story and does more things overall, because it doesn't make sense for her not to.
Yeah, otherwise she doesn't really do anything.
Right. I do want to say, though, that this is another one of those fairy tale stories that wants you to be like, oh, it's so sweet. And it's actually, like, kind of progressive, because, like, it's a girl being the main hero, and she's going off to save the boy. And, oh, that's nice. It's sweet. True love. But actually, when you look at it, it's like, well, no, this is actually more of a story about a guy who is abusive in a relationship, and a woman persisting, and if she loves him enough, she can change him.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Hey kids, if you're in a bad relationship, get out. You can't change them. Get out.
I mean, they might be able to change, but they've got to want to change.
And more often than not, they don't care to.
Well, more often than not, even if they do change, they're going to have a hard time changing their behavior around somebody who they've already been abusive to.
Okay. I don't know much about
psychology
or abusive relationships. We're not the people to go to for that. If you're in that kind of situation, seek out professional help, okay?
Yeah. Anyway.
Either way, let's talk about the movie.
Yeah. So this film actually, this is one of the first ones that's been adapted into English, or not adapted, but redubbed into English.
Oh, okay.
We haven't had a whole lot of that.
No, we had like one so far?
What was it?
Or two. We've had 2 films, not Russian films, but we had the one about the princess.
Oh, the Singing Princess.
The Singing Princess, and also the puppet one with the bird, the singing bird.
The Emperor's Nightingale?
Yes, the Emperor's Nightingale.
That was in English?
Yes.
Oh.
We watched there was an English dub of it. I mean, it's just like one person, aka the narrator, who's telling everything, but there was a narrator, yes.
Okay. Well, this was dubbed into English, and we chose not to watch that. We watched the original Russian, and I'm glad we did, because I did skim through, and we both kind of skimmed through some of the English dubs. And yes, I'm saying dubs because this was dubbed first
at
by
least twice.
Yeah, first by Universal in I think 1960. And then again, somebody else dubbed it in America in 1990.
When it became open, like just open for the public use.
Public domain?
Yeah, it became public domain by that point. So they're just like,
Probably.
hey, let's just, we'll do it.
But they actually threw some, like, that's the sad thing, is they actually threw some names at it.
Like actual well-known names, like I'm sure you could probably put a list of like the voice actors that they got for this.
Mickey Rooney's one of them.
Yeah, it's like, these are people that if you are familiar with the 90s, you know these people.
Uh-huh. Well, and the original one for Universal had Sandra Dee and Tommy Kirk? Yeah. So not... I think those are people, like, that did other things. I can't really remember.
You weren't alive then.
I wasn't alive then, so I don't know.
But it's just interesting that it get dubbed twice. And tell me about the first dub. Just give me some brief information. Yeah, just give me some information about the 60s dub.
Okay, so in order to redub this movie into English, they actually had to redo the whole thing. Which makes sense, because back then, your audio file, quote unquote, was one big file. It wasn't broken up into multiple pieces.
Yeah. So they had to. So did they have to redo all of the audio alone, or the audio and visuals?
What? Well, they wouldn't have to redo the visuals.
Okay, it kind of sounded like you said they had to redo everything.
No,
Okay.
just the audio.
But it did mean they have to redo all the music and stuff too, and sound effects, right?
Right. But so instead of taking the music that's already there and just having another orchestra play that music, they decided to write all their own music for it.
Okay.
And it even included like 3 musical numbers. There's one at the beginning that's just singing about the Snow Queen. There's another one which I actually didn't listen to. I think I skipped over it while I was just skimming through the video. And then another one that the robbers sing.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So there's that. And then in the other English dub, the one from
the
1990.
90s, that was clearly a direct-to-VHS film.
Well, okay, wait. Actually, I just want to say that the dubbing on the 60s one was actually pretty decent. They make some obvious changes. They call the little leprechaun magical godlike being guy Dreamy.
Dream Prince. The Prince of Dreams.
The Prince of Dreams. Because they don't want to call him a god.
Because, yeah, in the original version, he was called the God of Dreams.
Yeah.
And it's like, do I look like a god to you? He says, staring straight at the screen.
Camera. So that might not have went over well with the 60s audience. That's probably what Universal was thinking.
So they're like, no, we'll just make him a prince.
Yeah.
90s version didn't care. They made him a god.
Yeah. Yeah, so... But I want to say that the 60s version, I feel, is a better dub, but not as true to the Russian script.
Yeah.
Like, there's better voice acting, and just everything in general is better except for the script.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the 90s one, the voice acting is horrible, and they reorchestrated the music again and put in some of the most generic background music ever.
So, let me take you back to the yesteryear of the late 90s, early 2000s. Have you ever sat and listened to any book on tape or any radio show?
It definitely was like a radio... Like
a radio drama for families.
A radio drama, yes.
A radio drama for families. So it's just got that super generic music that as soon as you hear it, you're just like, oh my god.
I've heard this 1,000 times.
Uh-huh. And everyone was acting with about that level of acting capability, which is not high.
None, yeah.
Not, like, non-existent. I couldn't watch it. Honestly, we were like skimming through, and I'm like, I have to stop, Tennille. This is hurting me.
This is awful. Yeah, and it makes it worse because there's actually like some talented people there that they got to do this, and they're just like, yeah, just give me a paycheck.
This is just another...
This is my first take. They're literally just playing this in front of me for the first time and telling me to dub it.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like was it Late Night Dub Fight?
Yeah.
Is that show that Loading Ready Run does? Plug for Loading Ready Run.
Yeah. We're not affiliated with them at all, but they're good guys.
Yeah.
And gals.
Yeah. Yeah, so it just felt like they were dubbing it on the fly with just whatever came to mind. But the script that they used is actually more like what the Russian script is.
It's the kind of thing where they probably watched through their scenes once, read the script once, and then just read it off once, and that was it.
That was it.
They, like, got one go, and they're just like, good enough.
Good enough.
But... anyways, that's just talking about all the different dubs. I want to talk about the animation itself in this movie.
Yeah.
The animation itself, it's like we're pretty far into this review already. We haven't even talked about the actual animation or technical standards of the original.
Right. Well, I just feel like there's a lot to talk about.
Oh yeah, this movie's super interesting. It's like one of the first USSR films to have so much information around it.
Yeah, so I want to give it its due.
But I love the animation in this movie. It's so well done. One thing I really, really liked was at the very end when Gerda saves Kai. Kai. One of the dubs calls him K.
Yeah.
Because his name is Kay. But the original Russian is pronouncing it Kai, so we're going with Kai here.
Yeah.
Anyways... they like grab arms and then start spinning super fast around.
Yeah.
It looks so good.
Yeah.
It's like the right level of exaggeration, but super realistic, and like they're spinning across the room. It like, you can feel the energy and tension there, and it's so good. Speaking of like feeling the motion or force, I should say, in the movie. When Gerda is riding the reindeer in the snowstorm.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's struggling to move forward. It's like bent completely forward, and you can feel that wind pushing on it.
Right, yeah, those were some great poses there. Just like pushing against the wind. Really, really nice.
Unfortunately, once Gerda gets off of it, she doesn't seem to have anywhere near as much trouble. But the reindeer itself was very well done there.
Yeah. And, and yet again, in this film, I like all the characters. I find them enjoyable. If not some just kind of pointless, like the sorcerer lady with the garden who wants to keep Gerda around for no real reason.
She was pretty pointless. And
just like, oh, good, I've always wanted a little girl to sleep in my garden forever.
She had an interesting character design.
Yeah.
But past that, she was pretty boring.
What I found really interesting about this film is, and you actually were like, the sizes in this movie are all over the place, but I actually liked that about the film. It made the film feel
more fantastical
and just kind of like bigger.
Okay.
I don't know any other word to describe it, but it just made the film feel bigger because the sizes were so exaggerated between like adults and like magical beings and the girl, and it didn't make any sense, but I was okay with that.
Yeah, I guess what I was meaning by that is more so every now and again it felt like someone's character model was larger or smaller
than it was in the previous scene. Yeah.
Compared to the same person or object. And that was more so just like, ooh, that's like the one flaw I'm seeing here.
Yeah.
Like the Snow Queen, I have no discernible idea how big she actually is.
I think she changes in size.
Like, when you first see her, she looks like she's really big, but she's just kind of sitting there so you can't tell. And then when she shows up in the town, she seems to be about human size. But then, like, when they're back in her castle, she seems huge again because, like, Kai is tiny.
She had some really great animation on her.
Oh, yeah, great subtle animation work done there.
Yeah, I think hers is probably my favorite performance. We got crows again like we did in the last film. And I love how they talk.
You like the rolling R on everything.
It's very satisfying.
Oh, yeah. I just love when I hear that kind of thing show up on any character. Moral of the story, always listen to something in the original language. Dubs are garbage.
Fight us.
Fight me IRL. Except don't. I'm weak.
I'm small and weak. But
it's just... But to defend myself on that a little bit more, just... When you have the original people with their original intent putting the character there, it's almost always going to turn out better than someone else trying to emulate that.
Yes.
In a completely different language, who may not be caring as much.
Yeah. And even if they care, even if they really, really do care, like, I think nowadays we do get some good dubs out of Japan and stuff. Yeah, we do get people who can do some really great dubs. But I
personally still just want to hear the original Japanese or whatever language it was.
Exactly. So yeah, fight us, IRL. Except though. One thing I did want to bring up is I think, and we're not European, so this really kind of goes over our head. We're not really familiar with Romani stereotypes.
Yeah.
But I feel like the robbers in this story were Romani stereotypes. I could be wrong, but just throwing it out there. That's not cool.
It kind of felt that way a little bit, but again, I don't know that much about them.
Yeah.
And I mean, this seems like a time period where they'd still be doing that kind of stuff.
I mean, I think that kind of stuff is still happening nowadays.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I just don't know.
Yeah. Even with that said, though, I do love that little girl. The little robber girl.
Oh, yeah. I just want to see her, like, grow up and just run around claiming whatever the crap she wants.
I want to see her, like, punch a horse. and knock it out.
Yeah, because she could do it.
She could do it. I love her. So we're not the only people who find this film really interesting and inspiring and all that stuff.
Really?
Guess who also took quite a bit of inspiration from this film?
I don't know.
Hayao Miyazaki.
What?
He's apparently a really big fan of this film, or at least at one point in his life, it's been documented, he was thinking about quitting animation, as he does.
As he does every, 3 years now.
Yeah.
I'm quitting and never coming back. Okay, I'm going to do one more film.
But apparently at one point in his life, he was thinking about quitting, and he saw this film, and he's like, you know what, no, I'm going to keep animating.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like we said, this is definitely the best Russian film that we've seen up to this point. Mm-hmm. It's
definitely one that I would recommend more to a general audience
everyone
than
watch
most of the other ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, others you can dig deeper if you want, but this one for sure. This one's worthwhile to seek out.
And I guess do we dare mention the fact that there was recently an adaptation of this film?
I mean,
of this story.
We can briefly talk about it. Disney made a go at the Snow Queen, in case you were unaware. I don't know how you could be, but you might not realize it's an adaptation of the Snow Queen. But Frozen is actually supposedly a version of this film, or this story.
It is!
You can see it, but it's vastly different from the source material, as Disney often does.
Yeah. Loosely based.
Loosely based on the Snow Queen, as in there is a Snow Queen, and it's true love that wins in the end, but it's not even necessarily I love you because you are my love interest in my life or anything. It's more of a familial love, but this time it's
kind of like how it is, and
yeah.
Yeah.
It's that's the similarities I see in it, but past that, it's kind of set in the same... It's set in, the same location, I guess, but...
Well, it's set in the... it's set in...
Norway? Ireland? Sweden?
Not Ireland.
No.
Definitely not Ireland.
That upper peninsula?
Yeah.
I think.
Norway, Sweden, I'm not sure.
I'm sorry,
Scandinavia.
I'm sorry, Europe. I'm really bad at your geography.
I don't know. But
Either way.
Set in that location.
So, again, it's loosely adapted from the same idea with a Snow Queen and... Yeah. But I think that's all we really need to talk about.
I think this is definitely a stronger adaptation of the source material.
Yes, we're not going to try to compare. We're not going to try to compare what's a better movie or not, though.
They're too different.
They're completely different, made in completely different time periods.
Yeah.
And I mean, hey, eventually we will get to Frozen, and then we'll talk about it at length.
Yeah, I think. I just kind of want to talk about the Snow Queen's story in general. I think there is a good modern adaptation to be found in here. Mm-hmm. I think Frozen takes it a little too far.
It's too far separate from the original source material.
Right. They could have said that it wasn't based off the Snow Queen, and nobody would bat an eye. Mm-hmm. But I think a good story can be found here. I know there have been different film adaptations of this story over the years. And I think one of the biggest problems they obviously have is finding a way to justify the story being called the Snow Queen, when the Snow Queen really doesn't play that big of a part in the actual story.
Yeah, that seems fair.
Yeah. But I mean, it would be cool to see an actual... well done version of this story for a more modern audience. Mm-hmm. Anyway, though, I think that wraps it up.
Yeah, I think that'll do it for this episode. So
check out the Snow Queen if you haven't, or if you're interested. But next time we go to 1958, Japan.
Ooh.
And we get the Tale of the White Serpent.
Cool.
From Toei Animation.
Cool. We get to have our first non-propaganda film from Japan.
Yeah.
Their second film ever.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Awesome.
See ya then.
Bye-bye.
Наши розы, они снова расцвели.